Hi, George here, and I'll be showing you how to remove the background or change the background using Subject Select. And we'll go from this picture here to this picture right here. And I'll be covering a few things in this project, not a lot of techniques, but a few techniques. If you want to learn everything in here, the best way to do that is with my complete training course. I'll put a link for that at the top of the description. Okay, I'll start off by just cleaning out this project here. Let's just delete all of that stuff. There we go. Here's the original image. And I'll bring back up our new background image, which is right here. I'll just get that out of the way. Now, the first thing we need to do is to remove the foreground subject from the background. And on these kind of projects, I always make a duplicate of my background layer, right-click and duplicate. Most of the time, I don't need that, but just in case, it's nice to have a safety layer here. If I mess things up, I can always go back and start again from that saved background. Okay, we'll work on this one here. Let's go up to Select and Subject Select. Most of the more current versions of Photoshop Elements have this tool. And I'll be doing another video soon on how to do this trick without having this particular tool in here. Okay, now the thing about this is it doesn't necessarily give you a really tight edge in here, really careful selection around things like hair. It also missed a little bit right down here. If we can fix the area down here, we can also fix the hair very easily by using Refine Edge. Just click on that. You see the brush size right there on her shoulder. If you want to change the brush size, it's down here in the Tools options. Right now, size 35. That's good for this picture. I like having it just a bit larger than the area I'm looking at adjusting here. So this would cover up most of that. On the right-hand side over here, a lot of options you can do in here. I'm going to put on Smart Radius and just bring us up just by about 2 pixels. And this allows Photoshop Elements a little more latitude on finding that edge, but it's usually very good about that. I normally leave all this stuff alone down in the Adjust Edge section unless I need it after I try this. Okay, now to use this tool, you just paint like this right over the area you want to have Photoshop Elements re-examine. It then goes in, does that, re-examines that edge, and tries to give it a much tighter selection. I tend to like coming in doing this little short strokes like that. That seems to work best in most cases. And let's just go around the hair. That's where it needs it the most. And right down here, it missed a little bit on that dress. Okay, it fixed that. And I think that's probably pretty good. Now I want to output this. You have several options here: selection, layer mask, new layer with layer mask. You can even go to a new document if you want to, or a new document with a layer mask. I normally choose a new layer with layer mask. Choose OK. There we go. And here's our transparency. This is an area that has some transparency happening. It's not full transparency like this, just kind of partial transparency. And this will help to blend this into a background if the background is of a similar color. And that's always the best way to go, is to try to find backgrounds that are similar, at least color-wise, to your previous background. You get the best match that way. I've chosen one over here that is kind of in the same color range. Now I have this set with floating windows like that. Float that over here. If you don't have that activated, that's up here under the Edit menu. Come down to Preferences and General. Right over here, Allow Floating Documents in Advanced Mode. It's that one. Make sure that's selected. And you may also want to select Zoom with Scroll Wheel. That's a real nice tool. Okay, now to make this work, I'm just going to take this, drag the background over here, drop it on like that, close that one down. So it's a real easy way to bring layers from one file to another file. Now this is the same size image, which works out well, but it's in the wrong places at the top of my stack. I need it underneath the girl here, so just drag that down like that. It's now in behind her. Okay, it's all looking pretty good, but notice the background is too sharp for the girl. And if you look at our original background, which is here, it's really out of focus. So I want to soften up the background here, our new background. Let's go up to Filter, come down to Blur, and use the Gaussian blur. And then here's no blur, here's real blurry. So just find a blur setting that you think looks good for your picture. And I'll take it down to about maybe like right here. I think that's pretty close to what we had before, maybe a little bit sharper. But that works out well. It looks like it's in the background for us. Okay, let's now work on the values in here. So it's up on this layer right here. Go up to Layer, come down to New Adjustment Layer and Levels. If at all possible, always make your adjustments using adjustment layers to give you far more control on your adjustments. Now to limit this to just the girls layer here, check where it says use previous layer to create clipping mask. Choose OK. That just links it to that one layer. And in here, look at the histogram right here. And this is the values in the picture. Notice how there's nothing showing over here on the black side and nothing on the white side. A good rule of thumb is to move the black slider into the black area here, so we have an actual black someplace in the picture. Same thing on the whites, move that into the whites. That increases your contrast when you move those in, but also just make sure that we do have a full range that's being shown. If it's out here someplace, the darkest darks are in the gray areas. So you want to have your darkest dark down towards your blacks in most cases. So it gives you a good contrasty look. You can go too far, of course, so be careful about that, but just a little ways in on the black side and a little ways in on the light side or the white side. In most cases, you can leave the middle control alone. This is your main midtone value. You can, though, use this to lighten your image up if you want to, just a little bit like that. There we go. That's looking much better. Notice how she also looks sharper now. If something is more contrasty, it tends to also look sharper. It's kind of a twofer on that one. Now she's not quite as colorful as the background, so let's just bump up our saturation a little bit. Go up here to layer, come down to new adjustment layer again, and hue saturation. Again, check that checkbox, choose OK. And saturation is your middle control. You won't need very much of this, just a little bit like that, just to bring back some of the color in there. So here's no saturation. Here's way too much. Just a little bit in here, maybe about 18 to 20 is pretty good for this particular picture. The amount will change depending upon your picture. So what I do is kind of rock my slider control a bit like this until I see a value that I like. And I think right around here looks pretty natural to me. Now, just to complete this off, I know sometimes people ask me to take this clear out to file saving, and that's easy to do. Go to file, come down to save. Now, when you first go to save this, because we have layers and stuff going on over here, it's going to save it as the Photoshop file format, the PSD format. That saves all your layers. It saves all your adjustments. So I'll always save that so I can then come back to the project later on and do things like double-clicking on the icon here for one of my adjustments. It brings the adjustment back up again. I can then reset that if I want to. So I now have the project saved. And then if I need this for a specific use, like for use on the internet, I'll go up here, do a file, and then save as. And then just choose a format that you want. Let's say I want to have this as a PNG file. There we go. Choose save. And it's now saved as a PNG format. Now notice when I did that, if you take a look at the file name up here, it still says PSD. So we're still looking at the Photoshop file format here and not that saved PSD file. So make sure you note where you save that to so you can go and find that one very easily.